One night at a club, a policewoman named Zika is monitoring a gangster boss named Mrauka as well as a drug dealer. In one of the club rooms, they get into a small dispute with his business partner. While in another room, we will see someone named Golden who works as a guard at the club as well as a member of the Furiosa football supporters gang. We also learn that Zika and Golden used to be members of the same gang, but because of one incident, Zika finally decided to quit the gang and became a policewoman. When Zika was watching Golden, Golden suddenly saw her and immediately ran to catch her. But unfortunately, Zika had already left there. On the other hand, Zika visits a doctor named David at the hospital. It turns out that David is her ex-boyfriend and is a former Furiosa member. Then Zika discusses someone named Kasab, who is David's older brother and the leader of the Furiosa gang, who has committed so many crimes that he is facing a life sentence. However, David refuses to talk about Kasab and the Furiosa gang because he was expelled from the gang as he was considered a coward. On the other hand, in a boxing arena, Kasab will fight against a fighter in the presence of a group of Furiosa members. Although he had trouble dealing with attacks on the opponent in the first round, the gang leader finally managed to win the fight. That's when David came to the boxing arena to tell him about the police looking for him. But after seeing the state of the arena and Kasab, who had just won the fight, David cancelled his intention to tell his older brother. At the police station, Zika and the police chief, Thomas, have a secret mission to capture Mr. K and Polanski, two drug dealer gangster bosses who have great influence in Poland. The conversation with Thomas revealed the real reason why Zika became a police officer. Apparently, she decided to become a policewoman after her younger brother, a member of the Furiosa gang, was killed in a brawl. David agreed to meet with Zika and Thomas the next day at a cafe. He reveals that Kasab and Mr. K have been at odds for a long time while many members of Furiosa's gang, including Golden, work as bodyguards and aides at Polanski's nightclub. After hearing this explanation, Thomas offered to make David work as a police spy to catch Mr. K and Polanski. To do this, David must be able to rejoin the Furiosa gang, considering that his older brother is the gang leader and has direct connections to Mr. K and Polanski. Thomas tries to convince David that if he agrees to be a spy, then all of Kasab's criminal records will be erased so that he escapes the threat of life imprisonment. David looks reluctant to accept the offer, and Zika tries to influence him by mentioning the Kasab family, who certainly don't want to lose their father and husband. David was still reluctant to accept the offer, but he finally decided to go to Kasab's house. The atmosphere at Kasab's place was so warm, especially when they had dinner with Kasab's wife and only daughter, Susie and Camilla. While having dinner and joking, Golden suddenly came and immediately greeted the Kasab family in a friendly manner, even though he clearly seemed to have a problem with David. The warmth and closeness of the family made David determined to cooperate with the police. The next day, a group of police officers led by Zika was conducting surveillance on the Furiosa gang after getting help from David. On the other hand, David followed Golden to request that he re-enter the gang, although his request was immediately opposed by Golden and other Furiosa members. They can't do anything because the decision to accept him into the gang rests with the leader, Kasab. Back to the police, their surveillance was not in vain until they finally managed to catch the Furiosa gang. However, when they were about to stop a bus usually used by Furiosa members, it turned out that no one was in it but statues that were deliberately placed to trick them. Furiosa apparently already knew that the police were stalking and following them at that time. Zika then tried to contact David, but he was with other Furiosa members and took off the communication monitor that was previously given. Furiosa's gang apparently came to the arena on the pine forest edge to fight with Mr. K's gang. On the other hand, Kasab saw David's presence and immediately scolded his younger brother for thinking he had come to humiliate him. Not long after that, Mr. K's gang came with so many more members, and Golden suggested they fight with weapons, which Kasab refused as it would damage Furiosa's good name. Kasab actually strengthens and encourages members of Furiosa, even though Mr. K's gang has never lost a fight. The battle between the two gangs began. When the action of the fight was exciting, David was in the back, trying to muster the courage to move forward in the fight. Despite being outnumbered, Furiosa's gang ended up winning the fight. While in the euphoria of victory, a member of the Furiosa gang actually experiences a seizure. David, a doctor, swiftly provided first aid before ordering the member to be rushed to the hospital. David's responsive action to save the lives of members of Furiosa made Kasab melt until he finally announced that David was officially readmitted as part of the gang. Furiosa returned to the base where they intended to celebrate the victory. Unfortunately, as soon as they entered the headquarters, they were surprised to see the police conducting an investigation, including Thomas. He said that the investigation was carried out to find the stolen flag from the stadium, even though the police actually came to make sure David was accepted into the Furiosa gang. The next day, Polanski calls Golden to give him a new job to replace KRZYWY, who was previously killed for treason. He told him to invite one of his trusted people to pick up an item from the port. On the other hand, David reminisced about the past when he was still a member of the Furiosa gang, at which time Kasab assigned him with Golden and Zika's younger brother, Zaro, to fight against enemy gangs. The fight was not a draw, and it didn't take long before the enemy ganged up on Zaro and Golden. At that time, David did nothing and only watched from afar. He did not participate in the fight to help Golden and Drazo until finally, Zaro was ganged up to death. Since then, Golden hates David so much and forces Kasab to get him out of the gang. David is very sorry that his cowardice made Zaro die until his relationship with Zika ended. The scene returns to the present when Zika comes to David's house and is angry because she thinks he deviated from the plans for that day to arrest Mr. K's gang. The next day, David returns to Furiosa's headquarters and practices his fight against Golden in the ring. Golden takes revenge on David and beats him to a pulp. At the ringside, Kasab sees news of KRZYWY's body being found in the trash and calls Golden to advise him to stop working for Polanski. But Kasab's warning only made him angry. While outside the base, David tries to get information about KRZYWY's death from Golden, but to no avail. At the same time, the police raided Kasab and other Furiosa members at the headquarters and arrested Mr. K's gang for information. Knowing their gang leader and members had been arrested, Golden and Beulah turned to the police a few hours later. The members of Furiosa and Mr. K's gang, including Kasab, are interrogated about KRZYWY's death, but they all have strong alibis. When interrogating Golden, he actually mentioned Zika's involvement in Furiosa and the death of her younger brother so that she got emotional. In the end, both gangs were released due to the absence of strong evidence. Meanwhile, the drug trafficking business run by Mr. K's gang is getting stronger and even expanding in different areas. While Zika again urged David to look for more concrete evidence regarding the Furiosa and Mr. K gangs, he instead said that she became a police officer in revenge for the death of her younger brother. On the other hand, when the Furiosa gang members are on a bus to watch a football match, Olo tells David that Zaro's death is not entirely his fault. Zaro died because of the knife he carried himself. When they arrived, the police had blocked them and forbade them to enter because they were considered to be always rioting, so Furiosa's gang became emotional and then brutally broke down the gate. The scene shifts to Mr. K, who cuts off the hand of one of his subordinates, John, after being caught selling information to the police. That night when Zika came to visit, John blamed her for what had happened to him. His situation made Zika worried for David's safety, so she tried to contact him. The next day, There was chaos on the bus when a gang and supporters of the opposing football club beat up several passengers. David, who was on the bus, initially did not want to interfere, but his emotions peaked when one of the gang members provoked him by slapping him repeatedly. Finally, he hit the gang member back. And that's when another member of Furiosa got into the bus and beat them hard. Apparently, David was intentionally on the bus to spy on enemy gangs. David's brave actions have received praise from members of the Furiosa gang, especially Golden and Kasab, who are proud that he has changed from 10 years ago. Golden began to carry out the task from Polanski and picked up the goods from the port to be delivered to the printing house. Unbeknownst to them, at that time, the police had conducted raids and investigated the printing house. Fortunately, Kasab noticed the police action, who stopped Golden's car before entering the printing house. When Polanski found out about the incident, he blamed Golden for being reckless and not good at looking at the situation. On the other hand, Polanski thanked Kasab. However, Kasab told Polanski that the Furiosa members would no longer work for him. After leaving the place, Kasab again advised Golden to stop working for Polanski because working as a drug dealer was like ending our lives. Apparently, Zika leaked information about the raid on the printing house to Kasab without Thomas's knowing to protect the Furiosa gang. Then she called David to the police station and took him into the interrogation room. However, not long after Zika spoke with David, Thomas entered the room and asked her to come out. After living alone with David, Thomas shows all the evidence of Kasab's crimes and asks him to immediately reveal Polanski and Mr. K's drug business. Meanwhile, at Furiosa's headquarters, Kasab gathers the members and asks them to leave if they still want to work for Polanski. However, none of the Furiosa members left, including Golden. Unfortunately, at the police station, David revealed that Golden worked for Polanski to pick up drugs, so Thomas gave David 1 week to collect evidence if he didn't want Kasab to go to jail. The next day, Kasab and David were sitting together on the beach when his older brother asked him to leave Furiosa to focus on being a doctor. Kasab then said he would keep Furiosa and remain the leader for the sake of members who had joined the gang since childhood. It was then that David finally honestly revealed that he had been a police informant to protect him. Kasab was disappointed because he had trusted him and even allowed him to join Furiosa. That night a group of people ganged up on Kasab until he was seriously injured. Kasab's life could not be saved at the hospital, and he died. Members of the Furiosa gang are deeply saddened by Kasab's death, and Golden says that the perpetrators of the beating were Mr. K's gang. They plan a revenge mission, but Golden does not agree with the plan because Furiosa will be outnumbered by Mr. K's gang. To vent his anger, Golden beats up 2 members of Mr. K's gang, which they manage to take hostage. After that, he approached David and warned him to be careful with Zika. David told Zika he had broken a deal with the police to become a spy at a different time because Kasab was dead. He then said that his focus is on Kasab's revenge against Mr. K's gang. At Furiosa's headquarters, Golden manages to capture Polanski and 2 of his accomplices to force them to sign a business transfer agreement with Furiosa's gang. Golden takes this step so that the Furiosa gang has an equal position with Mr. K's gang to facilitate the revenge mission. At first, Polanski refused Golden's request, but he was forced to accept it after Golden threatened to harm his grandson. After getting Polanski's autograph on the agreement, Golden forces David to shoot Polanski, but he doesn't have enough courage, so Golden does it himself. Polanski was shot dead, and Furiosa took over all of his business. The life of the gang members changed, especially Golden, who immediately got a new car. But while driving his car, Mr. K's gang attacks him. Golden was ready to fight back and was surprised to know that Mr. K's gang had not come to kill him but to offer cooperation. He then accepted the offer of cooperation for Furiosa's business, which can continue to grow, considering that he is still relatively unprofessional in running his own business. Golden's luxurious life continues until he forgets their main mission of revenge. He even told other members of Furiosa's gang, including David, to forget his grudge against Mr. K's gang. Golden reasoned that by working together and forgetting the mission of revenge, they would be able to take over the power of the Mr. K gang from within. Eventually, they will become the single biggest gang in town. Golden's proposal was immediately rejected outright. The members of the Furiosa gang think that he has been blinded by money and power. Surprisingly, Golden said he didn't care if the other members disagreed because he was the chairman and all the decisions were in his hands. Elsewhere, Mr. K was caught by Zika and other police officers after it was revealed that drugs were in the car. But he still managed to escape because one of his men recognized the drugs as his own. In the evening, Mr. K stops David's car thinking he sells information to the police.
Honorowych ekip teraz jak palców kurwa u jednej ręki.
Kaszub, to nie była pizda, to był prawdziwy.
While beating David, he said he was not a coward who killed Kasab. On the other hand, he expressed his respect for Kasab, who was seen as a true leader. Failing to catch Mr. K, the police raided Golden at his home. When Golden was about to run away, Zika managed to catch him. At the police station, it is revealed that Golden is Kasab's killer, but Thomas asks him to be a police informant to arrest Mr. K if he wants to be cleared of all charges. Zika, who heard about it, was disappointed and told Thomas why he wanted to make a deal with the murderer. After accepting Thomas's offer, Golden leaked all of Mr. K's activities and businesses, from drug production to distribution and smuggling. Because of Golden's information, the police managed to confiscate Mr. K's contraband from the port. Unfortunately, Mr. K did not come to the port to collect the goods after his lawyer informed him of Golden's betrayal. The police once again failed to arrest him. Not long after, Zika came to Furiosa's headquarters and showed them the CCTV footage that became evidence of Golden's murder of Kasab. David forces the other members to confess if they were involved in the murder. It was then that John said that he found out that Golden was in contact with another member of the gang, Dynamo. Furiosa's gang members looking for Golden at a nightclub, and David challenges him to a one-on-one fight. The fight ends with David nearly killing Golden, but the other members of Furiosa stop him. In the end, the Furiosa members killed Golden. Though when the police officers led by Thomas arrived, they were all arrested. However, Zika pulled David out of the club. After the members of Furiosa admit that they killed Golden, it is revealed that Mr. K has always managed to escape because the police chief cooperated with Mr. K's lawyer. Furiosa closed by showing Zika, who decided to leave as a police officer to spend time with David. But right at the end of the movie, Mr. K's gang member who previously slapped David on the bus found him and stabbed him. After that, David, who was seriously injured, walked to the beach to see the wide sea.